We don't need to write it down. So we're going to be adding and subtracting positive and negative numbers. So we're going to have something to the effect of, let's just actually at first let's just model. Okay? So go ahead and open up your chips. And do we remember how we define these chips? The yellow side is what? Positive side. And my red side is negative. So let's go ahead and let's just model, with chips, can you model positive 4? Okay, and go ahead and do it on your whiteboard so that I can pick up your whiteboard and move it around. Okay, we've got positive 4. Now, let's go ahead and model, what do we want to do? Let's model positive 3. So, and we'll get around to why we're modeling it this way. So, if I said subtraction, so if I said addition, what would I do? My addition problem here, if I said add this amount to this amount, what would I be doing?
You would take that and add that.
Right. I would be combining them. Does that make sense? All right. What if I said take this amount away from this amount? What would we do?
4 minus 3? 4
minus 3 would be my problem. Does that make sense? And I would be left with 1. Let me write those two problems down, and this is not what we're doing. This is just leading into what you're going to do. So we had 4 plus 3 equals 7. We combine them, right? 4 minus 3 equals 1. All right, let's go ahead and let's flip our 3 over to be negative. Okay, so so our problem is going to be positive 4, okay, plus negative 3. Does that make sense? So just hang on a second. Don't write it down. I'm going to give everybody a problem to model, but this is just my launch into modeling it. So if I have positive 4 combined with negative 3, I'm going to have some 0 pairs. Remember how we zeroed everything out last year? This is 1 and negative 1, it makes 0. 1 and negative 1, it makes 0. 1 and negative 1, it makes 0. So 4 plus negative 3 is what?
1.
Positive 1. So let's look on our board here. Do we see a pattern yet? Yeah? So 4 plus negative 3 is the same as what?
4 minus 3.
4 minus 3. Does that make sense? All right. Let's do this. What do we think? Let's reset it. Let's have 4 and let's have 3. And let's do, so what are we missing? We have 4 plus 3, 4 minus 3, 4 plus negative 3. Now we need to have 4.
Negative 4 plus.
I'm keeping my positive 4. So look on my board here. I have 4 plus 3, 4 minus 3, 4 plus negative 3. What do I need, Holland?
4 minus negative.
Yeah, 4 minus negative 3. 4 minus negative 3. Okay, ready? This is where maybe your book calls it algebraic addition. Sure, it's algebraic addition, something. Okay, this is where the abstract comes in, okay? I can't have a double negative. I don't not want to have it. Funny, right? So, let's go back to this. 4, do I want to go back to that? No. I want to leave these two alone. 4 plus, what did I really do here? 4 plus the opposite of 3, which is what? Negative 3. So this is, do I want to say that? 4. I'm trying to think of verbally how to say it to you without just giving it away and saying this is how you do it, but I might just have to say this is how you do it. 4 combined with the opposite of 3. 4 combined with the opposite of 3. 4 not combined with the opposite of 3. 4 take the opposite of negative 3. This is 4 take the opposite of negative 3. 4 combined with the opposite of negative 3. Guess what it's going to have to be? So 4 combined with the opposite of negative 3. This is, I guess, where the abstract part that comes in before I just teach you the rule. So I have 4. Here I had 4 plus negative 3, which is this set up right here. 4 plus negative 3. Can I borrow yours? Since they're right here on my camera for Felicity. Now here, I couldn't have 4 minus negative 3. Can't possibly be the same as 4 plus negative 3, right? Because 4 plus 3 is 7. 4 minus 3 is 1. 4 plus negative 3 is 1. What do we think our answer is going to be here? 7. Does that make sense? So this is saying virtually the same thing. If I put a minus sign here and a minus sign here, it would be saying the same thing. So what I'm saying with this statement is 4 take the opposite of negative 3. What would I do to take the opposite of negative 3? Flip it. And then what it really is I add them together. So how many do I have? 7. So keeping this in mind, I'm going to give you numbers. Okay, and we're going to model it. Only because I need you to have this idea of modeling in your head, because abstract gets really too abstract too quick for you guys. And if this is one of the most important things you do this year, or this is something we do this year, it's most important. Super important, isn't it, Elizabeth?
Yes.
Elizabeth is watching over here like, I may want to jump over there and learn about positive and negative numbers. So, I would like for you to pass your board. Yeah, you can have your chips back. I'm going to give you a problem to model all 4 ways. Okay? So you're going to do the same thing here.
Oh, wait,
Send your boards on over here. You don't have to model it, but if I'm going to look for you to kind of start to model it in a second.
Or do I like write the other 3 things down?
I'll come to you guys. Well, what we're going to do is go around and then we're going to switch and look at everybody's boards, and then you're going to put some examples in your notebook. You've got the hardest one, though. That's okay, though. Maybe I shouldn't have given you that one yet, but I think you're more than capable of handling it. Go get a marker out of my box. No, I don't want that. Because then your answers. I want your answer to be something. I'm gonna let Felicity just spy on yours.
Do we like tell you the answer after?
Yep, write your answer down. And then once you've gotten your answer, I would like for you to go get your notebook so that we can write all of these examples down in your notebook. Because I think that this pattern right here makes the most sense in your head. But we're going to check them out first. All right, are we ready? So you guys found the pattern, right? We found the pattern. All right, so here we go. Joe, tell Felicity about yours.
So I got 5 plus 13, which is positive 18. Then for the 5 minus 13, the next pair, that would equal negative 8. The next one would be 5 plus negative 13, which would also equal negative 8 up, because you're kind of subtracting. Then the last one, 5 minus negative 13, the negatives, the subtraction sign and the negative sign on the 13, you just switch that to plus sign and you add those up to an 18, positive 18.
Perfect. Can everybody please write down Joe's example in your notebook so you have this example?
Are you looking at my
Yeah, of course. All right, Joseph's up next. Okay, go ahead and show us your example. We have 8 plus 5. Go ahead and start with that, Joe.
What you do is add 8 plus 5 equals 13. 8 minus 5 equals 3. 8 plus negative 5, which would be 3, because you would take away 5 from 8. And then with the 8 minus negative 5, you would switch the negative to a positive, which would be 13.
Right, which is ultimately 8, take the opposite of negative 5. So that fourth one is the most abstract. Does everybody have those examples down in their notebook? Please write them down.
For like when it's 7 minus negative 3, do you just put it as plus?
So it's 7, take the opposite of negative 3. Technically, yep, just plus it. But I want you guys, this is something that's so important that if we rush through it this year, then we're not going to have the knowledge building block for next year. All right, Miss Lizzie, show us your board. Okay. It's really just the board. All right? Tell me about your board.
8 plus 1 equals 9, and then 8 minus 1 equals 7, and then 8 plus negative 1 is pretty much 8 minus 1 is 7, and then 8 minus negative 1 is pretty much 8 plus 1, which
Yep.
equals 9.
All right, good. I want you to have that example down also, please. I know it seems like I'm making you write this same thing a lot, but as my Algebra 2 students that are sitting over here can tell you, this is a super important concept. All right, Miss Holland, you're up next.
Uh, 10 plus 7 is 17, and 7 minus 7 equals 3, and then 10 plus negative 7 is the same thing as 7, or 10 minus 7, which equals 3, and then 10 minus negative 7 is 17, because it's the same thing as 9.
Yes. All right, let's get that example down, please. All right, you're up, Miss Isabella.
6 plus 4 equals 10. 6 minus 4 is 2. 6 plus negative 4 is 2. Because you just, it's like adding, not really adding, but.
It's like adding. It is. It's 6 plus negative 4. Yeah, it's like adding. It is.
And then 6
Like
minus
subtracting, actually.
negative 4 is pretty much like adding.
Yeah, exactly. All right, let's get that example written down. Miss Sarah's up next.
7 plus 3 is 10. 7 minus 3 is 4. 7 plus negative 3 is 4. 7 minus 3. And then 7 minus negative 3 equals 10. And it's kind of just 7 plus negative 3.
So it's the opposite, but it's almost exactly the same. It'll be said the opposite. All right, and Isabel's the last one.
11 plus 4 is 15. 11 minus 4 is 7. 11 minus negative 4 is 7, almost like 11 minus 4 equals 7. And 11 minus negative 4 is 15, almost like 11 plus 4 is 15.
Exactly. All right. Go ahead and get all those written down. All right. And just erase your board really quick. Not going to use that special green tie. All right. Here is our next problem. Let's think about what this means. And we can model it. I can model it for you. Let's go ahead and write down this example. Yes, let's do it in our notebook. And then I'm going to give you an example and then you can do on your whiteboard. We'll pick all the tips up one day. Okay? So, here we go. We have negative 3. Take the opposite of negative 2. Let's model it with chips really quick. I can model it for you. You don't necessarily have to model it. All right. I have negative 3. Take the opposite of negative 2. What's the opposite of negative 2? Positive 2. So negative 3 and positive 2. Does that make sense? So you're going to have 0, 0. What kind of 1? What kind of 1 is that one? Negative 1. Does that make sense? Or an equivalent statement would be negative 3 plus 2. Are we okay with that? Yeah? No? Let's try another one like that. Let's try, so make sure you have that one down. Let's try negative 5 All right? I would like for you to model this by yourself right now with your chips. -5, take the opposite of -8. The opposite of -8. That was a great modeling job there, Miss Holland. All right, -5, take the opposite of -8, and what do you get, Sarah? +3. Did everybody get +3 when you made your zero pairs? Yeah? All right, let's try, and I'm just doing small numbers because they're easier to model. Let's try -10. Take the opposite of -2. -10. Do you already know what that's going to be in your head? Okay. So what would my equivalent statement be here, Sarah?
-8.
So I do. I have -8 left over. Can someone tell me what an equivalent equation is right here? -10 what, Joe?
-10 plus 2.
-10 plus 2 is the same. -10 plus 2 is the same as -10 minus -2. Does everybody agree with that? We agree with that? Equivalent statement. All right. Let's do something a little bit. Let's do. Are you ready for a little bit more? Can I borrow your eraser because I didn't bring mine out? Actually, never mind. My sleeve will work just fine. This is gonna get washed when I get home as soon as. All right. Let's try something just a smidgen more tricky. -2 -5 minus -6. Remember, there's order of operations happening here. Maybe you should model it. Might be an easier way to think about it. It's okay. All right. Let's model in real time. All right, are we ready? Let's think about this. We've got, I'm trying to make sure it's on there. It's actually so upside down for her, it's not even funny. All right, we've got -2. -2 take away -5. So basically it's -2 combined with -5. Do you agree? So what do I have? -7. Okay? Then I say take the opposite of -6. The opposite of -6 is what? +6. So I would flip all of these over. Yes?
Like when this happens, did you only do the last one?
Would I only do the last?
When, like with this example?
Yeah.
Like, would you only do this or?
Right, I would only do it here because I have the opposite of a negative number. Does that make sense? So I have -2, that's what I start out with. Then to that, I subtract 5 more. Hello, Father.
Hello.
We're good, how are you?
Serious academics going on here. Wasn't St. Patrick's Day,
So let's start this over. I have my -2. I take away 5 from -2, which we know as on the number line, if we were just doing this part, -2 minus 5 would give me -7, right? So then I do the opposite of 6, of -6. Are we okay there? So the opposite of -6, I had my red ones, I change it to yellow. So then I make my 0 pairs. And what am I left with? -1. All right, let's clean this up. We're gonna go back in. Does this make sense to you? Do you see how, so there, we had that pattern there, and then we had this modeling it. Hopefully that makes more sense to you. All right, Miss Felicity, we will send you homework.